Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining me on this foray into world building, where we'll be discovering the world of Shaher through design, illustration, and story. In this first episode, we head to the Moonstone Mountains, a mountain range of light-colored bluish-gray stone not seen anywhere else in Shaher. Folktales suggest a strong connection between the mountains and the heavens, which is evident scientifically by the fact that the moonstones are regularly impacted by starfalls. There are many creatures that inhabit the moonstones, but really only one group of people, the Ursani. Ursani have a humanoid upper half and the body of a bear, like a bear centaur. They're known for hierarchy and law, and in fact make their homes at elevations that reflect the social hierarchy. That is, the most influential members of Ursani society tend to make their homes near the peaks of the mountains, while the least influential tend to live in the low hills. The design of the Ursani is inspired by centaurs. I wondered one day, what other kinds of half animals would be cool? I did super quick sketches of several animals, including a camel, duck, and rabbit, but the bear was my favorite. Bears feel so steady and strong, and that feeling carried over to my first few sketches of the Ursani. I can see them potentially wearing mail, excelling as frontline fighters, and favoring polearms for some reason. As physically imposing as they are, though, I still think they'd be surprisingly fast and stealthy, if not exactly agile. In designing their culture, I'm influenced by bears, mountain peoples, and water. They're very protective of one another, and although many bears are fairly solitary, I think solidarity would be a better word for the Ursani. They have a strong sense of home and togetherness. Taken to the extreme, some Ursani are isolationist and territorial. Farming is part of life in the mountains, but the Ursani rely more on fishing and pastoral creatures for food. Specifically, they herd hullers, creatures that are a bit like heavy-set mountain goats that make a good source of food and wool. I also associate logging and mining with mountains, so I think Ursani will have ready access to lumber and stone for construction, metal for weapons and armor, and mineral dyes for their wool. Finally, in my brain, water is related to the mountains because that's where snow collects and melts to create our streams and rivers, so I associate the Ursani in some ways with water. As snow collects in the mountain peaks and water is released over time, so too does power flow from a central government in the peaks outward toward the low hills. Luna and the Olgrim. For centuries, the Olgrimi posed little threat to the Ursani of the hills west of Moonlight Valley, despite the proximity of the Olgrim forest to the low hills. In the last several years, however, the Olgrimi, always aggressive over hunting grounds and mating rights, had become aggressive with other creatures. They had begun to kill for pleasure, not only for food. They left bodies half-eaten, strewn around the forest. That's how a couple of Ursani of the hills west of Moonlight Valley were found in the last month. Ripped apart and half-eaten. Luna, no longer a cub, was excited to join the hunt. She had always loved foraging with her ranger aunt, Trunk, in the low hills near the forest, and she was excited at this excuse to enter the forest. She was, of course, aware of the current dangers, but believed she was unlikely to be the one that found the Olgrim, with so many of her den on the hunt. But hunting for sign was exciting in its own right, and Luna had always enjoyed walks with her companion Trunk. Trunk was Luna's ranger aunt companion, and she often took him foraging in the low hills. Trunk would be especially good, Luna thought, at finding the Olgrim cave if it were near. Now that she thought of it, Luna wasn't sure Olgrim did live in caves, but she felt like that's what she had been told. But ranger ants were notoriously slow, so she'd let him ride on her back until he caught scent. Meanwhile, Luna just enjoyed the walk. She enjoyed the tickle of the tall grasses, the chirps of the flickers, and the fresh scent of the ferda trees in bloom. Passing underneath a small stand of ferda trees, Luna received through their tether Trunk's desire to walk. Luna placed him on the ground and sent trust through the tether. Trunk walked, and Luna dutifully followed. It was likely that Trunk was on the trail of some of his favorite berries or mushrooms, but that was part of the fun of foraging with Trunk, anticipating his find. After about 15 minutes, a long time to entertain one of Trunk's forays, Luna saw what Trunk smelled. This was exactly why she brought him along. Before her lay a heap of cloth and flesh and blood. She approached with trepidation, keeping an eye and an ear out for any disturbance. Upon closer inspection, it was a pair of legs that had, by their appearance, been viciously ripped from a conspicuously missing top half. She crouched down to investigate the scene. The legs belonged to a small, two-legged person, probably a dwarf. Entrails were strewn about, but in a relatively small area. Only a foot from the legs was an axe hung in a belt. Luna carefully lifted the axe, pulling it from its loop. Trunk quietly clicked his pincers. The axe was made of stone, but was surprisingly light. It dripped with blood, fresh blood. This kill might only be a few minutes old. In that moment, Luna heard a voice, not in the environment around her, but sent to her like the emotions of a tether. "You're not safe. The beast is yet near. Hold me high." "Axe? I am Tiuka, and you're not safe. Hold me high." Luna raised the axe, looking for the danger. She neither saw nor heard the Olgrim. She wasn't sure she'd be able to hear anything over her audibly beating heart anyway. Trunk snuggled up to her, sharing her fear. Luna pulled her horn to her lips. She blew twice, a call for aid. Not planning to stay any longer, Luna leaned down to pick up Trunk. That's when the Olgrim, awaiting silently in the treetops, pounced. For a split second, Luna thought a tree had fallen on her. The pain was immense. She thought her body had shattered, but amazingly, the pain numbed as quickly as it had come upon her. She tried to pull herself out from under it, but the tree grabbed her by the waist. It started to lift her, but she twisted out of its grasp and swung wildly with the axe still in hand. The axe connected with the forearm of the 12-foot giant of an Olgrim, drawing blood. The Olgrim paused, sizing Luna up. "Make yourself large," said the axe once again in a weirdly calm tone. The Olgrim lunged toward Luna, swiping low for her foreleg. Luna was barely fast enough to rear up on her hind legs. She stood to her full 10-foot height, which paled as the Olgrim once again rose to its height, towering over her. With a near overwhelming sense that the creature would just knock her back and casually rip her in half, she remained defiantly standing. A horn note echoed back out of the forest. The Olgrim swiveled its head toward the sound, then back to Luna. It breathed in deep, and to Luna it seemed that the Olgrim was growing in size. Then the Olgrim's maw opened in a throaty bellow, spittle flying in Luna's face. Rather than back down, she flung out her arms, brandishing the axe, and roared back. The Olgrim flinched, just a hair, but Luna was sure she had seen it. She decided to press her luck, taking a determined step toward the creature and shouting aloud. The Olgrim slowly backed away, then retreated into the forest. Luna was still standing on her hind legs, heart pounding, when two of her den found her. "Luna, are you all right?" asked Glannon, the older of the two. Yes, I'm okay," she replied, still shocked. "The Olgrim was here. It ran off that way." "You're safe now, Luna," said Lugan, the younger of the two. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," said Glannon, indicating to the ground underneath Luna. Luna followed Glannon's gesture, and was only then reminded of the pain that had washed through her when the Olgrim attacked. "Trunk." Luna broke down. Thanks so much for joining me on this foray into world building. If you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.